And we're all looking for that permission because most of us, including myself, I did not necessarily think that I could do it. And so there was a series of events that happened that gave me finally the permission I needed to actually start. But I think that's what most people are looking for. And the challenge is that when we're continuously looking for permission and we try one place and then another place and then the third place and the fifth place, and then now it's 20 years later and we're still not doing it, then we blame ourselves because I have not taken action. It must be my fault. When really it's fear's fault, not your fault at all.
Welcome to Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations. If this is your first time here, we're so glad you found us. And to our returning listeners, welcome back. We've missed you. Take a moment to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the inspiration, wisdom, and heartwarming stories we share every week. Let's grow together, one soulful conversation at a time.
Today on Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations, we welcome a true pioneer in the realm of personal transformation. She's an Emmy Award-winner, a beloved repeat guest on Oprah, the first life coach on television, and the powerhouse behind Fearless Living Institute. With over 600 episodes of reality television, 4 best-selling books, including Fearless Living, and a coaching legacy that has touched millions. She is not only America's favorite life coach, she's a beacon of courage, truth, and authenticity. Welcome to the show, Rhonda. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I mean, how can't I not be doing fantastic when you gave me such a great intro? I said yes, more, yes, and more.
I wish I could go on and on, but that could cover the whole episode if I start to list out everything that you've done. While preparing for this conversation, I was reading everything that you've achieved, and I come there, I was like, wow, this is a lot. I mean, this is something that I am looking forward to, achieving also in my life. And I'm so glad that you're using your life to touch other people's life out there, millions of souls out there that you've changed, that you've, impacted positively. That's something to be very proud of, Rhonda. That's something
Well,
else.
I am blessed that I got where I am today in the sense of, in order to transform lives, I had to crawl through glass and I had to, hit the bottom of the well, and I had to, go through my own dark night, more than one. And I think I think my willingness to go through those and eventually, not right away, learn from them, because when you're just going through them, most people aren't open to learning, right? They're just like trying to get through. They're just trying to crawl through glass. So just being able to, let's just put it this way, because I've gone through what I've gone through, just like we've all gone through things.
Yeah.
I finally was willing to think that I did have something to contribute, because for most of my life, I thought that I was my past and how could I contribute? I really believed my bad, negative self-talk. I really believed that all my past mistakes were who I am and who I was. So I couldn't, for a long time, I couldn't think of doing anything like this because I couldn't even think it was possible for me.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we think we are our past, like you said earlier. And I think it also leads to shame in some ways, I would say, right? Like we feel like, oh, there's nothing for me to say because I am this and that, without knowing that, or without realizing or accepting that all that thing that we are labeling ourselves as is something that we've healed from or are over already in the past.
Yeah. Well, I think most people are haunted by their past. And I think most people come to listen to us right here or take a class or go to therapy or hire a coach because they want permission to actually live the life their soul intended, to live their purpose, to live their destiny. And we're all looking for that permission because most of us, including myself, I did not necessarily think that I could do it. And so there was a series of events that happened that gave me finally the permission I needed to actually start. But I think that's what most people are looking for. And the challenge is that when we're continuously looking for permission and we try one place and then another place and then the third place and the fifth place, and then now it's 20 years later and we're still not doing it, then we blame ourselves because I have not taken action. It must be my fault. When really it's fear's fault. It's not yours fault. You're not your fault at all.
Not your fault at all. I'm taking that with me from this episode. It is not your fault at all.
It isn't your fault. It isn't your fault at all. It's fears.
With fears. I mean, I would like to learn so much from your story. I would like you to share your story also. But before we do that, I would like us to get to know you through a game of wild cards. Are you ready for that?
Okay. All right.
I have 3 stacks of cards and I'm going to
Okay.
pick. I'm actually under the table right now, to be honest with you, shuffling a stack of cards, trying to pull out one. I'm going to pull out. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, random
Okay.
questions, just to get to know
Do it.
you.
Do it. Do it.
Yes. Just to, shake things up a little bit. So the first card is it's our icebreakers level. It says, what is the first thing you think of when you say I love?
Well, I think of I love God.
Mm,
I love God. I love source. I love divine. I love the fact that I'm alive and that I can breathe. I love life. I love vitality. I love life. So, but the first thing I do is I say I love God, because every night in the shower, that's what I say. In the shower, I'm like, I love you, God. I love you, God. I love you, God. That's what I say in the shower. I sing every night in the shower.
I love that so much. I love that. I love God also. And I always say I love love. And then I think, oh, God is love. So love
Right.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't
Thank
care if you call it God, divine, source, universe, light. It doesn't matter what it's called to me, but I know that there's something bigger than me. And I love that that exists.
Yes. Meant to that. Thank you for that answer. Are you ready for the second question? It says, what is something normal to you that others find weird?
What's normal to me that other people would find weird?
Yes.
Gosh. Well, I write at all times, night and day. If I get inspired, I write, and I don't care if it's 2 in the morning or 8 in the morning or 8 at night or 5 at night or 2 in the afternoon. So I write no matter what time it is. So I think that's a lot of people think that's weird because many writers have a schedule. And then I can have a schedule, but really that's not how I work. And one of the things that I teach my students and that I subscribe to is rhythm. Like, what's my rhythm? So I go through rhythms of writing. So I'm working on a book right now. So I'm writing 24/7. Like, I'm writing all the time. And then when I finish this next draft of the book, I probably won't write for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then I'll get back the edits and then I'll write again. And then when I get done with this book, I probably won't write for 3 months maybe. So I just know that's my rhythm, where some writers have to write every day or Monday through Friday or 9 to 11. So I think a lot of people would think that's weird. And I also write anywhere. I write in bed. I write in a cafe. I write on the couch. I write all over the place. So I do not have one place I write. I write lots of places.
So do you have like an iPad or something that you take along with you that you can write anywhere on
I
demand?
bring my computer. I just really don't work on an iPad in the sense of writing because I'm just like, so I bring my computer everywhere if I'm
Wow.
working on a book. And I attempt to every Friday go to my favorite cafe and write there at least 5 hours. So that always is when I'm at my favorite cafe, I just like go into a zone and I produce probably my best work there.
I love that so much. That's good. Thanks so much for the answer. Look for a favorite cafe and then you feel connected to inspiration more. Yeah. But I like the fact that you also write. I was actually earlier thinking about, you have written a lot of books, best-selling books also. Like, how do you find the time to write all of these books? But then you've answered that question already.
Well, I mean, I think it's also, I never thought I could write a book. And the first time I wrote a book, when you first write a book, if you're going to go to a publisher, you have to write a proposal. And that's how they buy the book. They don't buy it. You don't write the book and they buy the book. They buy a proposal. And so it took me a year to write the proposal. Because what I've discovered is that the book you think you're going to write, and you hear this all the time when you're in writing circles, the book you think you're going to write is not the book you're going to write. And so I was describing fearless living, and part of fearless living is something called the wheels. And I had a very difficult time figuring out how to write a intuitive process in a linear fashion in a book. And so it took me a year. But then once I wrote the proposal, it took me a year. It took me 4 months to write the book.
4 months. Wow. That's it's filled with a lot of insights, and I believe, that journey for you was also very deep, right? I mean, going through the process of writing a book and making it the product that it is, or the the tool that it is, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to my best friend when I'm writing, I really only think of my writing, right? That's what I do. I'm so immersed in it. And I say, the truth is in the page. The inspiration's on the page, the motivation's on the page. If you're not motivated, inspired, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not sure where to go, get a pen out and start writing. And even just start writing, I don't know what to do. And even if it's I don't know what to do and I feel like a loser, it doesn't matter. The page will respond and things will come out of you that you had no idea were in there. Like, I'm a better writer than my vocabulary as a speaker. I don't know how things come out of me when I write. I'm like, okay, that's really good. Like last night I was writing, it's like, oh, that's really, really good. Right? I would never come up with that just sitting around talking to anybody. But when I'm writing and you're in that zone, just different parts of you come out. And of course, you're open to the universe. You're open to source to see, and be available to what moves through your intuition, to move through to move through.
Yes. Thanks so much for that. Are you ready for the last
I
card?
am.
Yes. So this is our getting deep, and we get to get deep card, and it's not a question, but it's asking you to describe a memory that feels like a movie.
Well, I'll tell you the memory feels like a movie. I'll tell you about my history, and I will tell you that is a memory that's like a movie to me.
Yeah.
Because when something traumatic happens to you, part of what your brain does is actually separate yourself from it so it does become movie-like. And, because it's too painful for many people to get it in your cells. It's too painful. It's too close. So some of our most meaningful memories, all of ours, is actually viewed through a movie lens because it's too much for our nervous system to actually process until maybe years go by or time goes by. And so and I believe that the worst days of our lives, the very worst days of our lives, have the seeds of our destiny in it. So I'm going to tell you about the worst day of my life that is like a movie. It was when I was 14 years old, and I grew up in a little tiny town in Upper Michigan in the United States, and it had 365 inches of snow a year. This year it snowed May 18th. Okay, so just FYI, just snowed May 18th. So that's how much snow we get in the little town I grew up in. And we had two restaurants, the fancy Big Boy and the fancy Douglas House Hotel buffet. And it was Father's Day, and my father and mother were separated, and my father was coming to take us out to brunch. And this was a big deal because there were 3 girls, 2 adults, that's 5 people, and that's a lot of money. And my father was taking us out to the fancy Douglas House Buffet Hotel. And he walks in the back door, come on, girls. My mom and I are in her bedroom, and she's fluffing up her beehive hairdo and putting on her blue eyeshadow and putting on her rose-colored lipstick. And my 2 sisters are fighting out in our one bathroom. And my dad's like, come on, because that's what dads do. And so me and my mom start walking out towards the back door. My sister's still in the bathroom fighting it out. And as we start walking out, my dad notices it's starting to rain. And so he says he has to get his coat from the car. Now, this coat is a tan Naugahyde leisure suit coat. Now, you're much too young to remember leisure suit coats. But back in the day, those were hot. Like my dad with his polyester pants and his plaid shirt with that Naugahyde coat looked like he looked good. And so my father goes to his trunk to open it up to get his coat. And I noticed out of the corner of my eye that he did not grab a coat, but he grabbed a gun. And he starts yelling at my mother, you made me do this, you made me do this, and he fires. And I start yelling, Dad, what are you doing? Stop, what are you doing, Dad, stop. And he cocks the gun again, and he points it at me. And I absolutely believe I'm next. And he blinks, and I blink, and he blinks, and I blink. And my mother, who already has 1 bullet in her, sees what's happening, and literally with her last breath, yells out, no, don't. My father, realizing my mother is still alive, takes that bullet intended for me, and points it at my mother and shoots her for a second time. And that bullet goes through my mother's abdomen, out her back, lands in the car horn, and all I hear for the next 20 minutes is, My father cocks the gun a 3rd time, puts the barrel to his head, and fires. So in a matter of 2 minutes, I was the sole witness of watching my father murder my mother and commit suicide in front of me. Now, I don't know how you would respond, but this is how I responded. I blamed myself. It's my fault because I was the only one out there that could have stopped it. I was the only one physically there, and I didn't grab the gun, and I didn't kick my father's shins, and I didn't jump in front of my mother, and now they're both dead. So on that day, as I reflect back on that day, I believe that I basically split into 2 people that day. The outside Rhonda and the inside Rhonda. The outside Rhonda, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. But the inside Rhonda, shame, guilt, self-hatred. I mean, what kind of daughter lets her mother die? And by the way, when you watch your mother die and you do nothing, you don't get to be happy again. So for the next 20 years, I lived this split reality. So I would get straight A's in school. I got a scholarship to college, but then I discovered alcohol and became an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And then I started having DUIs. I got 3 DUIs, and that's driving under the influence, which means I went to jail. And then I tried to kill myself 3 times. And it was that third suicide attempt that I realized something. I realized I am not good at killing myself. I'm not good at it. And I better figure out another way. And I also realized, because during those years that I was drinking and suiciding and DUIing, I was also going to workshops and reading books and going to therapy. And I was doing everything that I thought I should do to change my life. I did all the right things. And by the way, when we try to kill yourself 3 times, they put you in a psychiatric ward for evaluation. And after a few days, they let me out, deemed me not crazy. And I went to my little apartment. I lived by myself in a studio apartment. And I remember thinking to myself when I got home and realized I'm still alive, which was not what I wanted. I realized there has to be a reason I am alive. And everything I've done, all the books, all the workshops, all the therapy, I've got a lot of knowledge. I know a lot of things. I have a lot of tools, but that hasn't changed my life. That hasn't shifted who I am. And so I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I have to start over. I have to start from the beginning. And I asked myself, well, what do kindergartners do? Well, kindergartners get a calendar with gold stars. So I actually left my house, went to the store, got a calendar with gold stars. And for the next 30 days, anytime I did anything good, and I mean anything good, I put a star on that calendar. And I'm talking about getting angry and not breaking anything, okay? Or having a drink and not getting drunk. That's where I was, right? Like, we're not talking evolved in any sense of the word. But the good news was, as I put those stars on that calendar, I recognized that each time I was putting a star on, what I was giving myself credit for was shifting my perceptions, was changing the way I saw myself, making the changes, the shifts that I wanted to make, that I couldn't think my way into, that I couldn't hope my way into, that I actually had to do something, right? Yeah. And I think this is where most of us get stuck. And I know that's where I got stuck for a long time. And just putting on those stars had me realize that what's really been holding me back is the fear of moving forward in my life, the fear of leaving my parents behind, the fear of stepping out on my own, the fear of not having an excuse, right? The fear of really stepping out and have sovereignty over myself, to really step out and live the life my soul intended. And that was the beginning of what eventually became fearless living. It took me years. That moment didn't turn into fearless living, but that was the moment, that was the seed that started the unfoldment where, years later, I still teach the calendar. I still teach the gold stars. I'm actually teaching a weekend at my home this weekend with VIPs, and I pulled out stars, and I might use my stars this weekend, because I do believe that physical activity of us acknowledging ourselves is an incredible gift. So that was the beginning. That calendar with gold stars was the beginning of hope for me. The beginning that I could not go back and try to kill myself, because that was off the table. Yeah. And the only place I could go is forward. And when you shut the door in your past and you can only go forward, you've got to learn new skills, you've got to learn new tools, and you've got to find that center in yourself. And you really do have to learn how to be fearless.
Yes. I love what you just said right now. For me, it's like learning from the past, shutting that door and moving forward. And overcoming that fear of moving forward is what we need, actually, in order to advance in our lives.
Yeah. Fear is it, right? So you can say, anybody can say anything, right? So why don't we do our dreams? Because we're afraid.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
don't we fall in love? Because we're afraid. Why don't we buy that house? Because we're afraid. Why do we sell the house? Because we're afraid, right? Like there's so many things that we do on an everyday basis that we don't do, the things we want to do and that we don't do on a daily basis because we're afraid. But we don't know that, right? We don't know that it's fear. We think it's us. We blame ourselves. We think we're lazy. We think we're procrastinating. We think we're selfish. We think we're, A, B, or C. And we use that self-deprecation, that beating ourselves up. And that creates a cage around us. I call it the invisible prison. It's the invisible prison around our lives. And we're making it by buying in to the false advertisement that fear is giving us, blaming us and believing we're the problem. Because you and I are not the problem. It's fear.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. I mean, Rhonda, that's a wonderful answer. I'd love to go a little bit deeper into this. Like, can you help us unpack what fear really is and what it is not? Like, for our listeners out there who might not even realize that it's running the show in their lives, like, can you help us differentiate what fear is and what is not fear in our lives?
Well, I would like to give a quiz because I think this is a better example of what fear is. Because most people, I love that you asked me this question, because most people, when I teach or speak or, the group of people, most people, including myself, for most of my life, I didn't think I was afraid. I had no relationship to fear. I mean, if you would have asked me the day my parents died if I was afraid, I would have said no. If you would have asked me after my first suicide attempt if I was afraid, I would have said no. I had no relationship to the words fear, scared, afraid, zero. I didn't think that was true for me at all. And I don't think I'm alone there. I think that's most people. They just don't have a relationship with fear. So I'm going to give a little quiz. So for everyone who's listening right now, if you're in a safe place, go ahead and shut your eyes. And I want you to shut your eyes because that helps us tell the truth. And if you can't shut your eyes, please don't. But if you can, please do. And I'm going to read a list of words to you. And as I read these words, if you do any of these things or feel any of these things, I want you to nod your head. Okay? And we're all going to shut our eyes so we can't see each other. Okay?
I'm
And so we
shutting
can
my
be
eyes right now.
honest with ourselves. Okay? So you're going to nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. Do you ever isolate? Do you ever pretend everything's okay when it's not? Do you ever hide out? Do you ever whine? Do you ever settle? What about compare? Do you ever secretly manipulate? Get defensive? Judge? Do you ever complain? What about procrastinate? Do you ever worry? Struggle? Control? Do you ever blame? Deflect? Do you ever wait and call it patience? Do you ever feel bitter? Do you ever feel entitled? What about powerless? Resentful? What about self-centered? Dissatisfied? What about getting caught in self-pity? Are you ever a people pleaser or a perfectionist? Do you ever feel disappointed, irresponsible, ignored? Do you ever feel guilty, annoyed like you do with me right now? Do you ever feel irritated? Do you ever feel like a victim? Go ahead and open your eyes, everyone, and let's hear the percentage of your nods. If you're willing to share with me, Toby.
I think mine is over 50%.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Liar, liar, pants on fire. But okay, that's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Most people, whether I talk to 1,000 people, 100 people, 5 people, doesn't matter. Most people have over 95%.
95%. Okay.
Most people operate, they get defensive during the day. They feel guilty, a moment of the day. They feel, right? So we go between what I call the wheel of fear and the wheel of freedom all day long. And so the words that I just read out loud are symptoms of fear. They're what I call fear responses. So you wouldn't complain unless you had a fear. You wouldn't get overwhelmed unless you had a fear. You wouldn't feel entitled if you didn't have a fear. You wouldn't feel bitter if you didn't have a fear. You wouldn't feel lazy if you didn't have a fear. You wouldn't people please if you didn't have a fear. So every word that I just read out loud would not occur unless you had a fear that was triggering that fear response. Now, most people go through life blaming themselves for their fear responses. Oh, I got to quit judging. Oh, I'm such a bad, I got to quit judging. Oh, I got to quit people pleasing. Oh, I got to quit procrastinating. Oh, right. And we use the fear responses as tools to beat ourselves up. And we don't actually label them properly and we don't put them in the proper perspective. Instead, we take them and think they're our character flaws. That we think that they're the bad things about us, right? They're the things we have to change. It's horrible that I do that. So we degrade ourselves and beat ourselves up for the things that fear is triggering within us. So what I like to do is support people in understanding that there is nothing wrong with them. It is just fear.
It's just
Now,
fear.
does that mean that you can go around complaining and judging and you're like, well, it's just fear? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is these are symptoms of fear. And if you really want to live the life your soul intended, if you really want to be who you were meant to be, then fear has to take a back seat. And you have to step forward and start recognizing that these are just fear responses. And you must decide and recognize that they're fear, and to decide to move from what I call the wheel of fear to the wheel of freedom.
Wheel of freedom. Yes. I think when you are calling out those points, at some point I lost count basically. I was like, okay, I was just nodding and I was no more counting. It was like a lot of things. So I said over 50% because like, okay, it was more than half of everything I said yes to. Yeah. But thank you so much for that, because I know sometimes we don't believe all of these things could be, caused by fear, because, fear wears so many masks. Like we sometimes we just think, oh, fear is when my heart is beating so fast and I cannot move myself while I'm, feeling it basically. But like you said, people pleasing comes from fear. Pleading or whining a lot comes from fear also. But now I want to have that fearless living. That's my end goal. What can I do to overcome all these subtle fears, all these big fears that could be holding me back from living fearlessly?
The very first thing you can do is take that list that I just read out loud and anything else that you know that you beat yourself up for and relabel them as fear responses. So instead of I'm complaining, I catch myself complaining, and instead of going, oh God, I'm still complaining. Oh God, I got to work on that. I'm such a horrible person. Instead of saying that, you go, it's a fear response. The minute you can put it in perspective and put it on what I call the correct wheel, it'll reorientate the way you see yourself and see the world so that you have more space to make a new choice. So just relabeling them. So you find yourself judging somebody, stop. I'm judging somebody. That means I have been triggered. That means because I'm having a fear response, that must mean I was triggered. Now, you may not be able to find exactly what triggered you. You might, but you might not. It's not the point of starting to search for what triggered you. The point is recognizing that you had a fear response and that you now can choose something different. And like I said earlier, I've created something called the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. And what I help people do is recognize their wheel of fear. So when they're on their wheel of fear, i.e. their fear responses, what I call the trigger, what I call the core negative feeling, etc. The minute they see it, so they see a fear response, I'm complaining, then they make a conscious choice to go, I'm going to jump over to my wheel of freedom. And on the wheel of freedom, you recenter yourself, you reground yourself, you find that place within yourself that is your true nature, that is the essence of who you really are. And your job is to act from that place. And you have a different wheel of fear than I do. You have a different wheel of freedom than I do. They're all personalized and unique. So yours is designed for you and mine is designed for me.
Yeah.
But when I find myself complaining or procrastinating or people pleasing or get overwhelmed, etc., Rhonda Britten immediately know that I'm triggered. I may or may not be able to identify why I'm triggered, like what happened around me or what I thought or what felt or, who knows? I may never figure it out. Doesn't matter. Instead, I immediately go over to like what I said is my wheel of freedom. And on the wheel of freedom, there's a component called my essential nature. And I immediately go over to my essential nature and I go, okay, Rhonda, because my essential nature, we all have different ones. Mine is authentic. And so I ask myself in that moment, what would I do if I was being authentic? Because I guarantee you, if I'm procrastinating or judging or beating myself up or, doing any of the fear responses, I am not being authentic.
Yeah, I see that.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, yes.
Yes, but being authentic also is not just, I'm just be authentic. No. Being authentic for me, when I'm on fear, when I'm on my wheel of fear, I'm procrastinating, I'm people pleasing, and then I got to jump over to my wheel of freedom and I got to be authentic. In that moment of transition, I have to actually make a conscious choice and be brave to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I'm still complaining, I'm still in victim mode. And is that really the authentic me? No.
That's not.
So I have to be willing to get out of victim mode and say to myself, well, what would you be doing? What would you be thinking? What would you be saying? What would be happening right now if you were being really authentic, Rhonda? And when I first started doing this, when I first discovered my wheel of freedom and my essential nature was authentic, I didn't even know what authentic meant. Now, if you would have asked me, I would have had some clever thing to say, right? I would have, had some poignant thing. Well, authentic is, being your true self, right? But I really didn't know how to do that because I had been hiding for so long and such a chameleon that I didn't know what was me or what I'd acquired from other people. So I, for many months, asked myself, I went around every day, all day long, and said, is this me? Do I like this? Is this who I am?
Mm.
Is this my thought or is this somebody else's thought?
Hmm.
And I challenged myself to ask myself, what part of this is me? And what part, like my favorite color was green because my boyfriend in kindergarten's favorite color was green.
Okay.
At the time when I was married, my husband's favorite color was Mexican. My favorite food was Mexican. And if you would have asked me, I would have said Mexican, but no, it's not Mexican. But I really thought it was.
Hmm.
And so I had to give myself a critical, a willingness to challenge myself
Yeah.
for the truth. Like, really, Rhonda, is that really what you like? And I had to take time to do that instead of just giving a quick, yes, oh yeah, I really like that. No, I had to be thoughtful and really make an effort to really go, do I really like that? I have to think about it.
What makes me like that, actually?
Yeah, it's having sovereignty over yourself. And most people do not have sovereignty over themselves, even though they think they do. They don't, because they've never challenged their own thinking. They've never challenged their own beliefs. They've never challenged their own desires and wants. Did they really come from you, or have you taken them on from somebody else?
Yeah. Has the society or the people around you made you like that or think that way?
That's right. Culture, friends, right.
I mean, that's making me think right now. So I'm like going through my life choices and thinking, okay, is that really from me or can
Yeah.
be the choice because I'm trying to please somebody else or trying be to be out of trouble from people?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'll do it this way, or I want to please somebody. Now, I mean, if you want to please your mom, if you want to please your girlfriend, your lover, if you want to please your partner, great, awesome. But you don't compromise. You don't take your essence away to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because, when I wrote my book, Fearless Loving, and I went on book tour, I would ask this question to every book signing. I would say, are you willing to love yourself more than be loved, admired, and respected by another? Are you willing to love yourself more than be admired, respected, or loved by another?
That's a very difficult question, but yes, I
Right.
love to love myself more.
Right. But most people would know the right answer. We know the right answer. The right
Yeah.
answer is I love myself more. But then we look at our lives and go, oh, I did that because I didn't want to get in trouble. Or I did that because I know she'd be mad at me if I didn't. Or I'm doing that because it's helping me move it forward in my job. Or I just got to fit in right here. I mean, I won't make a trouble. I don't agree with them, but I won't say anything. Right. We just compromise all day long without us even recognizing we're compromising all day long.
Sometimes what I'm asking myself right now, sometimes we think that what is the essence of loving myself more when other people don't accept me or love me, or don't, make me feel fit into the society. So I think that's why sometimes we try to love ourselves less and
Yes.
embrace what other people want or expect from us so that we could feel among.
Well, we have a core need to belong and connect.
Yeah.
Right? But this is the trick, Toby, is that if you do not love yourself and if you are not authentic, when somebody does say they love you, you will not believe them because you are not being yourself. So they are loving a version of you that you are presenting. And you know that. You know that you're not showing them your full self. And I'm not saying showing them your bad behavior. That's not what I'm saying. But letting them know your thoughts and letting them know your desires and letting them know your dreams. So what we do is we only give a partial part of ourselves to get that love. But then when somebody says they love us, maybe part of us is like, yay, but a part of us secretly knows, well, they don't really know me. They don't really know me. How can I believe they're going to be with me if they find out who I really am, all the parts of me, right? And again, doesn't mean that I'm going to show them my bad behavior or I want to see their bad behavior, right? Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying warts and all in the sense of you can just have bad behavior. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what are your values? How do you speak? How do you want to stand in this world? What do you care about? What do you enjoy doing? Do you love, like me, when I'm in the shower at night going, I love God and I love God and I love God, right? So if I have a boyfriend, will I do that?
Hmm.
Right? Or will I be like, well, that's too weird. I'm not going to, right? I'm not going to say I love God right in the shower, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Right? So we just dull ourselves down.
Oh, yeah. I understand that so much. Anything that will dim my light, I should ensure that, yeah, I don't embrace that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we want their light to be on us instead of our light shining from us,
From
right?
us. Yes.
And what we want, really, what we're all dying for, myself included, we're all dying to be able to shine our light.
Mm,
And our light attracts the people in our lives, our clients, our students, our lovers, right? Our friends. It's the light that attracts us, attracts them. And their light attracts us. And it doesn't mean we're going to get along all the time. It doesn't mean we're going to like each other all the time. But we're not afraid to be who we really are.
don't be afraid to be who you truly are. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's to me a courageous act because that's tough to do
Mm,
24/7, 7 days a week, right?
yeah. Earlier, you talked about the will, and I was just thinking right now, I've not truly understood. I mean, there's a point I still want to understand, basically. Like, do I have like a physical map where I have a wheel and I put all those points, like my wheel of
Well,
fear
yeah.
and my wheel of, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
one information that was missing for me. So I could start practicing it too.
Yeah, well, we really didn't get into it. So let me just show you a picture just so you know.
Ah, yes.
So the wheel of fear has 4 components,
Oh, yeah.
right? And the first one is the trigger. And the trigger is your core trigger. And you only have one trigger. Okay. I'm going to tell you mine. So we can use mine as an example. My trigger is loser. So I do not want you to think or see or believe that I'm a loser. And I, on the wheel of fear, have created my whole life to prove to you that I'm not a loser. Now, by the way, no one's ever called me a loser. Your trigger is not lazy because your mother called you lazy or your teacher told you were stupid. It's not stupid. It's something that you literally have never been called, no have relationship to, and you cannot believe it's yours. So when me and my best friend, when I started doing this work and started creating this work, I was one of the first people that did the work, right? And when we were doing my wheels and we came up with loser, I literally was like, what? Huh? Right? But it felt like a gut punch
Mm,
because if anyone thought I was a loser, I would be devastated. Right?
mm,
And then I could look at my life and see all the ways I made sure that it wasn't, that I wouldn't be seen that way, which then takes us to our fear responses. Okay.
yeah.
So I'm getting triggered. I got triggered, I'm out and about, going to a meeting, a mingling meeting, a networking place I've never been. And I walk in and the first person I see is a guy and he gives me a dirty look. Well, I might take that on as that I'm a loser, right? Like I'm not, like, I don't want to go in there. And so my fear responses become, well, I don't belong here. These people aren't my people.
Mm,
These people are all stuck up. These people are just, show offers, right? Like I don't like those people, right? So we start telling stories to ourselves to justify that we don't have to go and do the
mm,
thing, right?
yeah.
And so now we're on our wheel of fear. I'm doing a fear response. I'm making up a story. I'm judging, complaining, right? Which then if I keep doing that, I will end up feeling my core negative feeling.
Mm,
Now, the core negative feeling you felt many times, Toby. Felt it many times before I identified it. And my core negative feeling, me, Rhonda Britten, is worthless. So I go into the event, somebody gives me a dirty look, loser's activated. I start doing fear responses. Who does he think he is? I'm better than this. I don't need these people. Okay.
mm,
Which then dumps me down into feeling worthless. So now I walk away disempowered, right? I feel powerless. I go home, pour a drink, right? And feel worthless. Well, if I feel worthless and I stay in that place, I will end up doing what's called self-destructive behaviors.
Mm.
And self-destructive behaviors, you know your self-destructive behaviors. Mine was drinking, suiciding, and DUIing, right? My self-destructive behaviors now are eating that second piece of cake or isolating for days or scrolling for hours, right? And then when I do those self-destructive behaviors, my wheel of fear goes, see, you really are a loser. See, you really are a loser. You better get good at hiding that. You better get better at hiding that. And then that kind of clamps us down even more unconsciously. Of course, it's all unconscious. And then we try harder to prove that we're not a loser. And that just spins around and around and around. Now, the good news is you can interrupt it anytime you want, anytime you're aware that you can see it. So most people find they're on their wheel of fear through their fear responses. And that's why I started off with the fear responses and why I said, anytime you do something that you beat yourself up for, label it a fear response.
Yeah.
Because when you can see your fear responses, you know you're triggered. You know you're on your wheel of fear. And then you can hop on over to your wheel of freedom.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
And so just like the wheel of fear has 4 components, the wheel of freedom has 4 components. And the first one is, like I said, the essential nature. And my essential nature, as I shared, is authentic. And then I must do proactive behaviors that are in line with that essential nature. I have to do proactive behaviors that support me in being authentic. Okay?
Yes.
And then when I do that, I move into an experience, something called wholeness, when I feel one within myself, grounded, centered, whole within myself. And when I'm whole within myself, I naturally do what's called self-affirming behaviors. So I'd like to think of it this way. Proactive behaviors are, I have to practice being patient. Self-affirming behaviors, I am patient. I don't even have to think about it. I just naturally am. So that's the wheel of freedom. And as you start taking actions there, that starts spinning. And that is your now operation mechanism. And during the day, we're going back and forth on each one. The choice, but what we want to do is become conscious so we can actually choose to be on the wheel of freedom more than the wheel of fear.
I think that's the word. One has to be conscious and very intentional. As soon as you recognize those triggers, whatever could have caused the trigger, and you start to respond to it, you could break the cycle right there and then jump into the wheel of freedom by being proactive in your actions.
Yeah, I mean, the minute you recognize, so again, that's the whole point of finding the 4 components of your wheel of fear. Finding them out, because sometimes you won't recognize your wheel of fear on your fear responses. You'll already be down at self-destructive, right? You'll all of a sudden be at home, drinking a bottle of wine on your 3rd bottle and go, holy crap, I'm self-destructive. Crap, right? And again, you won't remember what triggered you. You won't remember what happened. But what you do know is that you are triggered. You may not know why. That's not the point. You don't have to know why. People spend way too much time on why. Instead, we want to reorientate ourselves and understand where we are on the wheel so that we can then make a choice to get ourselves off. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yes. Get yourself off the wheel of fear. Get off the wheel. I'm going to start using that also, because sometimes I catch myself, for example, wanting to eat a lot, like maybe bread, for example. But that comes from, because I'm triggered on something, basically. Maybe I'm stressed or someone said something to me, and then all of a sudden I'm craving all the chocolates in the house or the bread in the house, and I want to sit down and just binge watch series and something like that. And sometimes, like you said earlier, I'll just catch myself in between binge watching a series. I'm like, what am I doing to myself, actually? This is not me. Something is up. Something is...
That's right. Something's off, right? Yeah. And how the brain works is the more articulate we can be, the more clear we can be, the more granular we can be, the more specific we can be on what is happening to us, the more we can get off it. So if we just say I'm off, that doesn't give the brain enough information for it to start shifting. It's too vague for the brain. The brain's like, well, that's nice. That's nice, but that's not going to help me. Like, it needs something specific. And that's why I created the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom, because it's very specific and it's like a map, and you know where you are on the wheel. And then you exactly know where to go on to the other map, the Wheel of Freedom.
Yes. Wow. So these wheels, we can get them from your book, right? From the living.
You can get it from Fearless Living, my book, Fearless Living. I have a course called the Fearless Living Transformation Program. If you want to do videos, audios, a self-paced class. There's also an option to work with a coach, so they can work your wheels. Because sometimes, the likelihood of you getting your own wheels is low, because fear is as smart as you are, as knowledgeable as you are, as educated as you are, and as spiritual as you are. Fear knows everything you know. So trust me, it will not let you find your trigger, because it doesn't want you. Because if you do find your trigger, then fear can't keep you safe. So it doesn't not want you to find the trigger any way, shape, or form. It wants to keep you stuck in your fear responses so you never find your trigger. So I highly encourage you, if you're going to do the book, do it with a friend, or take the self-paced course and work with a coach for 3 sessions. They can help you do, it's called a wheels arc, and they can work you through the wheels, or hire a private coach if you'd like. And occasionally I do workshops, and I do live workshops, and I do wheels with people. So be on the lookout for those, because I will probably be teaching one in the next 3 to 4 months.
Awesome. So all of this information can be found on your website also, right?
Yep. Fearlessliving.org, fearlessliving.org. You can put Rhonda Britten into, there's only one place, you'll find me. When people say to me, God, Rhonda, where you been? I go, Rhonda Britten's Google, just Google me, Rhonda Britten. And you can find me, right? So Rhonda Britten, Fearless Living, just go and find me, fearlessliving.org. Under, Get Coached, you can go to Fearless Living Transformation Program. You can also find out the 10 fears. There's a lot of stuff on my website, membership that I teach in twice a month. And I would love to give a free course, a free gift to your listeners.
Yes, please.
If I may.
Yes, please.
So I want to offer a class called Stretch, Risk, or Die. And it is my clients' one of their very favorite exercises. And what it does is it cures procrastination. And it helps you discover how to move from where you are now to a dream goal and make it happen. So there's a process, called Stretch, Risk, or Die, that as you're moving towards your goal, as you're wanting to make forward on your dream, and you're finding yourself stalled or stuck, you are stuck on that stretch, risk, or die. And I'm going to show you in this course how fear is keeping you stuck. And I'm going to, more importantly, show you how to get out. So go to fearlessliving.org, fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK. You're going to put your name in, your email. You're going to get on my mailing list, but you can unsubscribe if you'd like after you get the course. You'll get access to the platform. You'll get access to the course. And the course is only 3 15-minute videos. It has worksheets, it has videos, it has audios, it has everything you need. So regardless of your goal, it has templates and examples for health and money and love and family. So it's going to show you all those different examples on how to move through. And then the last video, the third video, the very end, I actually walk you through my wheel of fear. So you can see that in motion as well.
That is fearlessliving.org/risk.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I encourage everyone out there to, take up this offer, 3 15-minute videos, and, take part in this course. That'll be something awesome, basically. Stretch, risk, or die. I love that. I love that. I'm going to subscribe to this. I'm going to subscribe to that also immediately after this conversation, so that I could also take part of this free gift. Thank you so much for that free gift. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes. So earlier you mentioned a dark night of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the peak of your success, like, how did that season, deepen your spiritual path? And would you say to someone listening right now who feels like they are spiritually lost or disconnected, like, what should they do at this moment in their lives when they feel disconnected?
I will say one thing and then I will say another thing. But the first thing, when you ask me that question, what if you're feeling disconnected from source and you are in the middle of a dark night, the first thing to do is surrender to it.
Mm.
So I was at the height of my success. I had just won my Emmy. I could not go anywhere without being recognized. I was on TV every single day. So I was well known in the United States. I couldn't go anywhere without somebody recognizing me. I had 4 books, 2 TV shows, right? And at the height of that success, I got dumped into a dark night. And so when you're in a dark night, when I'm in a dark night, I should say, I could not, I couldn't work 24/7 anymore. Like, I had to take care of myself. That was my first priority. So I surrendered to my dark night. And when you surrender to it, I believe, and this is me, I believe it can move through you faster because your resistance to it keeps it in place, right? We've heard that resistance, right? Resisting keeps it in place. So you want to surrender to it and you want to accept it. And what I would say to myself while I was going through it, I say, oh, this is going to be so good on the other side. Oh, it's going to be so good on the other side. Oh, I can't wait for the other side. It's going to be so good on the other side, right?
Yeah.
But while I'm going through it, I feel like I'm crawling through glass. And that's okay, because I'm willing to crawl through glass to get to the other side, because I know the benefit is going to outweigh the glass. And that's what you have to remember. You have to remember that the level of depth or level of growth or the level of roots that you gain going through a dark night, can those be gained other ways? I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can. Yet what I've experienced is my life path is dark nights. So I've been through 3 dark nights. And so each dark night, it's not like I wanted it, but there I was. And so I just knew that this was an opportunity for me to deepen who I was and my connection to source in a way that would fundamentally change who I was.
So it's an opportunity for you to dig deeper into who you are and also deepen your connection with God, with source.
Well, yeah, I mean, I say, people ask me like, well, what'd you get out of your last dark night? The dark night you just had. And so I'll tell you a perfect example of what I received from that dark night. If you would have come to my house before my dark night and you knocked on my door, I would have opened the door. Now, by the way, I thought I was a loving, generous, kind person. So just so you know, that's what I thought. I was a loving, generous, kind person. If you would have asked me, am I loving, generous, and kind? I would have been like, of course I am. I mean, I absolutely believed that. But if you would have come to my door, knocked at my door, and we didn't have an appointment, I'd look at you and be like, may I help you? We didn't have an appointment. Right? I'd be like, what are you doing here? No, if you knocked on my door. I would open it and I'd be like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Please come in. Can I get you some tea? I can't wait to talk. So my level of compassion, empathy, connection, humility, love. And again, I thought I was those things already. And that's the thing about the dark night. I already thought I was those things. I didn't know that I wasn't. I didn't know that I was just at the beginning stages of those things. And even now when I say I'm those things, I know that I'm probably still at the beginning stages of those things. But I know that my heart is so much more open and so much more available and so much more connected. And I am able to see people in such a more loving way, an innocent way. And again, I want to repeat, I thought I was doing that. And I think that's the trick. I think that's what stops people from doing the dark night, is because they think they already are that. And why do I have to go through, like, this doesn't make sense. I do all this work. I meditate. I do, what was going on? But if you really want to surrender to and have a deeper connection, then there is something deeper for you to gain. And your perception of yourself will change for the better.
For me, it feels like, sorry to plug in the name of the podcast, placing a mirror in front of you to see what you truly are, different from, how you feel, what you think you are, basically. But once you're able to, the dark night of the soul helps you to like see yourself for who you truly are at that moment, and helps you to know what to do in order to, become more of who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, it takes great humility to have a dark night, because your ego will be like, I already am that and I don't need this. And why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. I shouldn't be happy. I've already had hard times. My parents have already died. Why do I have to do this? Right? How dare you? Like, this is crazy. Right? And you fight it. So I think to have a powerful, positive experience, even though you're crawling through glass, it really is that acceptance and humility to the process and following source where it takes you. I mean, I packed up my things, put it in storage, and traveled around the country for 3 years. And I stayed at people's homes, which I never would have done. I would have never stayed at your house. I mean, I never stayed at people's house more than a weekend. And I was staying at people's 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months. And that's what I did for 3 years.
Because
and if you knew me before then, I would have never done that. Never. Because I never let myself need somebody. And I never asked for help. But when you're on your knees, I asked for help and I needed people. And shockingly, they showed up, because all my whole life I thought nobody would show up. I used to tell people, no one ever shows up for me. And I was shocked that people showed up for me. It softened my heart. It humbled me. Yeah. So I'm a big advocate of the dark night.
Oh,
But I don't wish it on anybody.
what I was about to say in between was that's like crawling through those glasses, basically, like
Yeah.
things that I don't need anybody's help. All of a sudden, you need people's help. That's that's a big piece of glass that you have to crawl on or step on.
Yeah, I don't wish it on anybody, but if you're in the middle one, surrender and humility, that'll get you through.
Yes, surrender, accept it, and be humble. Yes. Thanks so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I'd like to talk maybe briefly, maybe just one question on about May 18th. You know what happened on May 18th? And talk about the healing and forgiveness part of it. Like, have you been able to, would you say you've been able to forgive totally and heal totally from what happened on May 18th?
I think forgiveness is a daily event. And I thought I forgave my father the day he killed my mother. And I probably did at the level of awareness I had. At the level of awareness I had, I forgave him. But as you grow in consciousness, there's more parts of you that are available to forgive. So that's why we have to forgive more than once, most of us, right? We have to forgive again and again. It's not because we haven't completed that forgiveness. It's that more of us are available to forgive.
Mm.
So I'm a big believer in forgiveness. And by the way, my father was the easiest person to forgive. My mother was harder to forgive than my dad.
Okay. Why?
And then I was the hardest to forgive.
Okay.
Right? But my father, I was able to see his innocence and I could see the pain he was in. I could see why he did what he did, right? Like looking at it through the eyes I have now, I know my father killed my mother because he was afraid, right? And my mother stayed with my father longer than she should, quote unquote, should have, right? Because she was afraid. And that whole scenario was fear, right? So I was able to forgive my father first. I had to take my mother off the pedestal of being a victim, right? Like she was murdered, right? And again, she was murdered and my mother is not at fault for this. Yet I had to take her down off the pedestal and see her for a woman, being the woman she was, like being a human being instead of keeping her a martyr, right? And keeping her like, oh, she, right? I had to take her off that pedestal, take her from being a martyr and going, she's a woman and she made decisions and some weren't good and some hurt me, right? And some weren't wise. And again, I have a lot of compassion and I understand my mother was young and all those things, but I had to take her off that pedestal and see her for being a human being. And then last person was me and forgiving myself for not saving her and not stopping him.
Yeah.
So I have a forgiveness exercise that I use for people that have a difficult time forgiving. And this is the exercise that I use to forgive my father, and then eventually forgive my mother, and eventually forgive myself. And, I don't know how I knew this exercise. I mean, I don't know how I figured this out, but I did. I started doing this exercise when I was still drinking, DUIing and suiciding. I started doing this exercise. I did it obviously for many times afterwards, but I was desperate to get out of the pain I was in. So I just made up this exercise. And now looking back on it and understanding neuroscience and understanding all of the components of it, it was like, yeah, that's a really good exercise. Because what it does is it shifts your neural pathways and it helps you live in the paradox of forgiving and being angry or frustrated or feeling all the feelings you have and forgiving at the same time. So I think most people think they have to get rid of their feelings to forgive. It's like, no, you can have all your feelings and forgive. If you want me to share it, I will.
I'm waiting for you to share it, actually.
Okay, good. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of paper and put a line down the middle. You're going to have two columns. And on the left-hand side, you're going to write the person's name that you want to forgive. And it may not be a person. It might be a church or an organization. It might be a school, right? So it doesn't have to be a person. Whatever you have bitterness towards, anger towards, feelings of jealousy, regret, just anger, things that are keeping you small, that are closing your heart. You put one person, one thing at a time. You only do one at a time. And so I put my dad up there, let's say. On the right-hand side, you're going to write on the top the words, I'm willing to forgive you. Okay? So my dad's name, and I'm willing to forgive you. Okay? And I'm going to write one phrase or one sentence at a time. So it looks like this. Dad, how could you do this to us? Go over to the right-hand column. I'm willing to forgive you. Back to the left-hand column. No, I'm not. I'm willing to forgive you. You left us with nothing. I'm willing to forgive you. You're such a selfish man. I'm willing to forgive you. Right? And you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. What that's doing is literally helping you rewire your neural pathways. And how it's doing that is allowing you to have the paradox of living in the anger and the feelings, as well as moving you forward in your intention to go where you want to go, which is forgiveness. Now, let's say writing the words down, I'm willing to forgive you, makes you want to throw up. Like you can't do that yet. Like you can't do it. Just hearing me say that's making you go, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing it yet. Then write, I'm willing to be one day to forgive you. One day I will forgive you, one day, maybe in 20 years. I'm willing to one day forgive you. Or you could write, I'm willing to forgive you one day. Right? And I don't care, really. I mean, I don't care. It's like, I hate you. I'm willing to one day forgive you, but it may never happen. I don't care what you write, but just say, I'm willing to forgive you in some way, form, or fashion. Because what you're doing is, again, you're living in the paradox of, yes, in the present moment, you have anger, pain, suffering, but you know where you want to go. You know you want to release this. You know you do. So you're going to claim this at the same time that you're feeling the feelings. And when you do that, you are doing a high spiritual path, because this is the paradox. And when you can live in the paradox, that's when real change occurs.
That's true. Thanks so much for sharing that. I love even the fact that if you're not ready to forgive totally at that moment, you just write it. I am willing to one day
forgive you, and it might be 100 years from now.
you.
I'm willing to forgive you in my next lifetime, right? So, but just say I'm willing to forgive you one day, maybe in the future, or I'm willing to forgive you when hell freezes over. Again, it's really about saying I'm willing to forgive you. And if you need, because you want to you're not ready, then then add something to make it palatable to do it, right? Make it palatable. I'm not saying you're going to be like happy, right? But palatable, remember, why are you doing this? You're doing it to set yourself free, right? It's not about my dad. It's about, I'm in the prison of unforgiveness, which keeps my heart small, which keeps me angry and jealous, which keeps me small-minded, which keeps me stuck, which steals my energy and my life force. So I want to forgive so I can be free.
Yes. It's about your freedom. Yes. Living a free, fearless life. That's right. Yeah. Well, Rhonda, I've learned so much from you from this conversation. I've learned so much from you in regards to, living a fearless life. You've reminded us that fearlessness is not the absence of fear, but the choice to no longer be ruled by it. And your story, your spirit, and your work are a lighthouse for us. Many of us who are, navigating through the fog of doubt and fear out there. I really appreciate this. I don't know if there's a last word that you'd like to share with every listener out there.
I have a last word, because I do. I have a last word.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I want everyone, if you're willing to do it, if you're in a safe place, go ahead and put your hand on your heart. I'm going to do something woo-woo and, silly.
Yes.
Put your hand on your heart and just repeat after me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just afraid. There's nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with me.
I'm just afraid.
I'm just afraid.
There's nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just afraid.
And breathe that in. Oh, it's just fear. It's just fear. It's just fear. And when we can do that, Toby, we can let that shame just melt away. We can just let the shame melt away, because we're not lazy or stupid or wrong or worthless. No, we're just afraid, and fear is having its way with us. So we can just let all that shame melt away, so that we can let that spark of our light burn brighter and brighter and brighter. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just fear.
No, it's me. It's just fear.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. Hope people would like to continue this journey. You have a lot of books, you have podcasts to listen to, that people could listen to. What's the best way to get all of this information and this?
Just go to fearlessliving.org, and I'm going to have some new things coming out, so be on the lookout. But if you go grab that course, Stretch, Risk, or Die, at fearlessliving.org/risk, you'll get on my email list. And then as I launch, I have a whole bunch of things coming out, and I'm so excited. I've been working on it for 2 years. I know I've been working on it 2 years. like I think I shared with you, I'm writing that book. And so that's almost done. So I've got some things coming out. So get on my email list, and then you'll find out everything that's going on in the world of fearless living.
Thank you so much. This has been so wonderful speaking with you. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Thank
Be
you.
fearless.
Thank you very much.